I love Twilight. I love the Twilight films. I love all the Twilight films. I think they're fabulous. I don't care what anyone says. That's Prince, isn't it? Oh, what is it? Batman? Yeah, it's Prince's score for Batman. There we go.
I've now talked a good game.
Prince is one of the very few artists that 3 bars you go, well, that must be Prince. Even if you don't know the track, you go, yeah, but that must be Prince, right? There's a brilliant piece of footage on the internet of Miles Davis going, yeah, Prince is a genius.
Oh, really?
I know, yeah, it's absolutely mad.
So Batman is one of a zillion Danny Elfman, Tim Burton collaborations, and that score, it's a great score, and that is one that we have to credit Shirley Walker for her input.
Right, yeah.
She is credited as a conductor on it, but I think she worked as in an orchestrator arranger capacity as well. And I think it's probably one of my highlights of the Tim Burton Danny Elfman collaboration. And Natalie Holt, who's one of the composers who features in the book, she wrote the music for the Batgirl film, which was famously axed or is dumped.
Hidden.
Buried. Yeah, but she'd written and recorded the score. The film had been filmed. And it was that late in the day that the distributor just decided no. So there is this Natalie Holt score for Batgirl, in which I believe she used or sampled or was inspired by Danny Elfman's Batman music, which we will never hear.
Just talking about Danny Elfman, yeah, it's the snowy bit, it's the ice dance, yeah. You know, which is lovely, which is a really sort of fabulous moment, and no, I love that film. It always gets me in the feels, and it is a lovely Danny Elfman, Tim Burton collaboration.
I think because there's a real beauty to it. There's a real sort of simplistic beauty to it that I think you learn a lot about Edward Scissorhands, the character, through the music.
There is a sort of trademark Danny Elfman, Tim Burton score.
Yeah.
And when people think about it, Edward Scissorhands is actually what they mean, isn't it? When they go, oh yeah, the score's all sound, they go, no, you're thinking of Edward Scissorhands. That doesn't sound anything like some of his other scores, but it's not like Mars Attacks or something, but
No.
that is the kind of classic, slightly, creepy fairy tale thing.
Drive, that's from Drive, which, following on from soundtracks, must-own album soundtracks that Tarantino's films did pave a lot of a way for. What I found really interesting about Drive is it's kind of a soundtrack album of 2 halves. So there's the sort of the pop electro hits at the start, and then there's the score by Cliff Martinez, which is a really evocative score, I think.
Do you remember, some years ago now, that a Radio 1 DJ re-scored Drive for a BBC broadcast, and so they took all those tracks off, but a whole bunch of new tracks on, and it was almost like Civil War, because some people went, oh, that's absolutely fantastic, what an exciting, interesting thing to do, and other people were like, heretic. And on that subject of redone scores, one of my favourite films of all time is Silent Running, which is a science fiction film, which has a brilliant score by Peter Schickele. But there is also a completely different score for it by 65 Days of Static, who would perform it live to a screening of the film. And I remember when I wrote a BFI book about Silent Running, and I asked Doug Trumbull, who's the director of Silent Running, what he thought about the new score. He said, well, it's not what I would have done, but what's really interesting is it completely changes the film. It completely changes everything about the film, because it's big and noisy and loud, and very much the opposite of the Peter Schickele score.
Okay, that's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Vivaldi, Four Seasons.
The only piece of music I think of from Portrait of a Lady on Fire is Para One.
Yeah, Para One and Arthur Simonini did the title track that features in this beautiful scene, and it's this kind of women's voices singing in a round and getting louder and louder. But yeah, that piece of music features at the beginning and then in the end and final scenes, and beautiful use of an existing piece.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I think there's a certain kind of a pressure, but you've also got a bit of a responsibility. If you're if you're going to choose to use a really familiar piece of pop music from days gone by, that is quite a, I think, responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, but in the case of Guardians of the Galaxy, the reason people remember that is because he's got a Walkman and he's very specifically listening to the tunes. So the tunes are kind of woven into the narrative, because the whole point is he's listening to them in exactly the same way as in The Martian, when he's stuck on Mars and all he's got are these disco bangers that he absolutely can't stand until, you know, as the movie goes on, he kind of comes to love them. So there's often that case of like a built-in jukebox. It's actually part of the narrative that people are listening to those songs, which always makes me think of like a film like American Graffiti, in which the point is all the way through the film you hear the sound of the radio show and the jukebox playing all the way through the film, because it's part of the drama. And so, but in the case of that, yes, it's a really strange thought that there were some people that probably introduced to that song through Guardians of the Galaxy, because some of us just grew up with it. It sounds weirdly familiar, but I'm thinking like it's reminding me of Uncut Gems, which I know it isn't.
It's not Inherent Vice.
No. Oh, right, okay, fine. I remember watching it and thinking, I don't quite get why everyone is going quite so crazy about this film, because it's nothing like as clever as it thinks it is. What do you think?
Well, if we're talking about the music, the one thing that stands out for me is that one of the radio show regular features that we had was actors singing on soundtracks. And there's a cute little song that Scarlett Johansson sings, so I just remember it for that song.
Because it's not meant to be Scarlett Johansson.
Oh.
It's meant to be Samantha Morton. They did the whole film with Samantha Morton's voice, and then they replaced it with Scarlett Johansson's voice.
I did not know that.
Yeah, which I think is why I resent it so much.
Challenges. Yeah.
That's what you said earlier on.
So Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, who have been knocking it out of the park for quite a lot of years. What I really rate about them is that they can do a score like that, and then within the year they did Queer, the follow-up, Luca
Guadagnino.
And that is the next one he did, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. They can work across a huge number of styles. But the thing about that score for challenges, because you and I were talking about this before we started doing this, and you said, what do you think of challenges? I said, well, it's good, but it's very in your face, isn't it? Because there's all those sections when, like, you know, they're doing things and the camera's underneath and the camera's above and the camera's over, and it's going and it stops, they go off to do something else and it comes back, and it's like, it's not subtle.
You feel like
You feel like you've snorted a line of speed.
Yeah, I have it on my running playlist.
Oh, well, there we go. And in a nutshell, there we go.
But it ends with this weird alarm. It might not be that track. One of the tracks ends with like an alarm noise. And every time I hear it when I'm running, it sort of jolts me out. You know it?
No, we both know it. Yeah, you know it.
Okay.
Yeah, you do. It's
Oh, this is really good. I know.
It's the da-da-da-da. That's the...
Yeah.
Go on.
Twilight!
Oh, that's so horrible. My daughter and I do this thing that we literally watch all the Twilight movies together in a day. And we've done it more than once. I can't believe I didn't get that. I love Twilight. I love the Twilight films. I love all the Twilight films. I think they're fabulous. I don't care what anyone says. I think they're just wonderful, and I have watched them all more times than is healthy, and I have done Twilight marathons, and I can't believe that I didn't immediately get that.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet. So the Desiree song that I believe, but we need to check, I believe was co-composed by Craig Armstrong, or fully composed by Craig Armstrong, because there's instrumental versions of it as well in the film. And I just think when it comes to soundtrack, I think that film has everything. If you were a teenager in the 1990s, which I was, because for me, that was just, I mean, it was perfection.
I wasn't a teenager in the 1990s, but I still like I like the films. I love Baz Luhrmann.